Jayson Tatum, I wouldn't say firing back fully, but definitely some. He's addressing for the first time the Marcus Smart comments, and clearly he's not a fan. We'll try to get some of that for you later, but
I
along with
know, it's been like 3, 4 appearances, we haven't heard from him on it.
yeah, it's the first time, but I mean, basically saying we talked about it. It is what it is, and just basically it happened. I'll quote here. Um, Personally, we talked about it. We had a team meeting. I guess I know how to play basketball. I've been doing it a long time. I'm pretty successful at it. I have things I can work on. Um, and then it happened. You can't change it. We're still a team. We're trying to figure it out, win games. I'm not upset or sad. Let's move on. Asked whether or not should have kept it in the house. He's like, yeah, I think you know the answer to that. So, definitely seems like he didn't love the Marcus Smart comments.
How could,
Um,
especially after a night like this, what we're talking about, it's like, if Tatum did something like this and Smart went to the podium and they were asking Smart about that situation, just think of how Smart would tear into him and, like, be brutally honest in that part and, like, knock him over the head, and no one, it feels like no one can do that to Smart because there's such a, I don't know whether it's just the respect he commands or just the frustration and the inability to take criticism. Like, no one, Ime criticized Smart this year once? I don't know if he did it post game for
I
this,
don't know,
maybe.
but I mean, I'm just reading the tea leaves here, and I'm going to say it's hard to listen to
It's like you're
Jalen Brown.
walking on ice around this guy.
It's hard. It's hard to listen to Jalen Brown, and Jason Tatum talk about Smart and feel like they're like digging playing with him right now. It really is, you know. I know we've done this before, and they'll say things like, "Oh, we're brothers, and we're gonna fight from time to time, X, Y, and Z." They've done that before, right? You've heard that. Remember, you've had guys getting on it on the bench, and I've heard Jalen say specifically, like, we're brothers, brothers fight. I've got nothing but love and respect. I'm not hearing the love and respect thing. Again, what people don't say sometimes is as impactful as what they do. And so, last year we talked a lot about, wow, players aren't saying a lot of things about Brad. And it was a big thing. And we were like, they used to say it all the time and they're not anymore. You're not hearing the Marcus Smart heart and soul stuff and X, Y, and Z. You're just hearing guys who are pretty bummed out that he went public criticizing them, and I don't think they dig it at all.
Including
So
Brad and Ime.
this
They
is a
weren't
th-
they weren't fans of it.
they weren't fans of it either. So right now nobody dug it. And so this idea that, like, and again, I was one who thought, look, I'm okay that somebody said it because nobody else was going to. It sounds like Smart's got no one on his side at this point. He might have said it thinking I'm going to be the leader and say that thing, and then he looked around and it's like Will Ferrell, like we're going streaking, and he looks around and there's no one behind him. I think Smart thought he was doing something that was going to be like, "Attaboy, we needed that kick in the ass," and it totally backfired. It looks like.
W Well, I remember last year, people have brought this up over the last couple of days too. We were laughing our ass off when he tossed the ball off the tip-off against the Pelicans with
Yeah,
the full shot clock, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it wasn't funny to Kemba. Like, Smart kinda laughed it off, and Kemba was like, "What are you doing?" And then Smart got, like, mad at Kemba because Kemba was calling him out in that moment. There's a real trend I'm noticing through 2 coaches now and just the last couple of years that when Smart has these moments, and again, you deal with them. I think generally over the last, 8 years of his career here, they've dealt with the shooting, they've dealt with the decision making and some of the other issues he's had, just because of his tenacity and his ability to raise the defense's ceiling and make the hustle plays and all this stuff. Now that his stature has been raised on the team, I don't think there's as much of a stomach for the mistakes and just for the missteps. Even if this, call out in a public setting there was a misstep, something they didn't want to have happen as a team, and he just
So
sort
I
of went
mean,
rogue
and
and did
that's
it.
the thing, right? That was something. And again, we do give Smart a ton of leeway, right? Because his imperfections are baked into the pie. You know exactly that that's who he is. So you're supposed to know that, which means you're supposed to kind of roll with them. But at the end of the day,
And it's also a team that kind of wanes defensively, and he's the only guy constantly revving that motor. That's sort of the reason I give him some leeway.
but a lot of people do. However, and again, I as I continue on and just kind of thinking about it here, you know, He is playing at a really bad level right now, but you're going to say this stuff, and you're going to go out on a night like this and do two really stupid, boneheaded things and crush an entire team effort, because you made bad plays. So like the strength of Smart is the winning plays late. These are the opposite of winning plays. These are absolute killers. Okay, we don't have a name for them. What do we call them? I mean, losing plays is too obvious, but these are obviously bad, bad, bad
Ooh, I gotta think
plays
about that one.
that killed I mean, that cost them the game. I mean, look, there's a 48 minutes in a game, 100 things, 100, 200 different things happen. But these were awful. And so nobody's going out there and being like, yeah, well, we can't be hunting for fouls late in the game, and we can't be committing stupid fouls late in the game. We gotta if somebody just said we've got to understand the late game situation better, that's friggin' a shot right at Smart. Would that be justified? How would that land? I don't know.
It's really incredible. I know how to play basketball. I've been doing it a long time and I've been pretty successful at it. I've always made the right plays. I'm not perfect. I've got things I can work on. I think that's the good part about it. As young as I am, as good
Yeah,
as people think I am, I've got a lot to improve on. I'll be the first to say that. I'm always going to play the game the right way and the way that I was taught and the way I've played my whole life. That's never going to change. Just outright reputation. And what did Brown say? That probably wasn't necessary. Like
yeah,
there was a real frustration between these two. And we've talked so much about the Jays relationship. Is that a point of contention? Do these guys get along? Can they play together? If this whole weird thing over the last couple of years, and again, we're all guessing, there hasn't been that deep dive and, autopsy of what's going on here. If Smart and the Jays has been this sort of thing that's just grating at each other the last 3 years, and up top, they, for some reason, have decided, maybe because of a value thing, maybe because of how they view them versus how the players view them, that they can't just dump them and move on from that dynamic there. Maybe lose a trade in Ainge's case, maybe give up a tradable contract in Brad's case because we know how they value those two things. If that's just been allowed to fester and explode this year, and it was simple as trading Smart for Aaron Gordon at last deadline, and again, I'm just speculating here, that's really frustrating because they're playing with a core that could win a championship feasibly. And if things just are gritting behind the scenes and these guys aren't working on the court and behind the scenes, that they're just kind of grating away at each other and they've refused to address it and they've just let it explode and double down with a contract extension, that is infuriating. Because again, I'm a big Smart fan. I think he's a valuable player, and the stats show he's a plus player. But if your two superstars can't stand him and he's grading away at them constantly, and you're not addressing that as an organization, that's just malpractice. And again, like we don't have the answers. There's probably a little bit of everything going on here. I mean, Smart shouldn't even be a third best player on a team. That goes back to the organization in itself.
yeah.
But I don't know. That's just frustrating as we start to kind of see how this dynamic is playing out. We saw it in the bubble with the locker room feud. Smart and Brown were kind of the ones going at it there. We kind of got bits and pieces of it through that athletic report last year. I mean, I think there's a little bit of a picture coming together on what the issue, what the dynamic is within this team. Is it the Jays on one side and is it Smart on the other side? It's a huge question for me right now because it wasn't that so easy to address, John, if
Well,
that was the issue.
so that's the funny thing is I've always kind of thought it was Jason over here, Jalen over here, and then whatever else. Not that they're not united, but that they weren't like. I'm sorry, I take it back. I don't think that Jalen and Jason are in opposition at all. They just
It's
may
hard
not
to argue that they are.
they might not be in lockstep on everything. I don't think it's like me and Jason this me. I think they just kind of do their thing, they respect one another, but it's not necessarily we joked about it a little bit. Smart in a strange way has unified the Jays, which is like, is this friggin' guy talking about us? Like, like give me a break here. So
No, and everybody should be able to take criticism, and I think this comment shows Tatum can. Brown has constantly been willing to say it, and he says it. Have you ever heard Smart say, "Oh, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. Like I can grow in this area." Like even the shooting thing. Remember when Gary last year was asking about the shot selection to start the beginning of last year, and what was the thing he said back to him? Like like, "I'm gonna shoot," just something to that effect over and over again, like, that's "I'm a shooter, blah, 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 blah." I don't have the exact quotes off the top of my head, but there's never an introspection from Smart. Like, he's able to dish it in terms of criticism and leadership, and I think that's valuable. I think we all agree what he said about the Jays was true, but you have to be able to take it too. You have to.